Good morning. I thought that I would just do a little short video update of my koi pond. I've got a goose decoy floating in it here, and the water is unusually clear. You can see the large container that I have water lilies attempting to start to grow this spring, and I just threw in a little teaser bit of food in with the koi here. Um, These koi range in age from about 10 years to a little more than 3 years old. The smallest ones are probably 3, maybe 4 years old. That little white one with the sparkly scales, the Jinrin. And I don't have very much filtration going on in this pond, and it's a little bit unusual for it to be as clear as it is because I don't have any 1,000 gallon an hour pumping water through it, or even a 2,000 gallon an hour pumping water through it. It's just basically enough water circulation through a large filter that I have located just behind that very small waterfall at the far end. It pumps water out of the filters the water and pumps the water out of the pond and into a 55-gallon barrel, and then after it goes into the bottom of the barrel, it filters up slowly through the material in the barrel, and then leaves behind any particulates that happen to be pumped through the system. Most of the particulates come out, and then it dribbles back into the water. Basically what it does provide is a large nitrification bacteria colony for my koi so that they will remain healthy and long-lived. They made it through the winter, this last winter, really nicely because of relatively mild weather. I'll throw a little bit of food in there, see if we get some feeding activity. It's been pretty cool. So they aren't real hungry, but they are eating. It's going to warm up to about 70 degrees today. Right now I think it feels like on my back already 70 degrees, but I think it's more like probably 60 in the sun. I'm not making any attempt at spawning these particular koi. I am going to move 2 of the koi, though, out to the pond that I do spawn them in. That one that just came up to the surface there is one of them. It has really large, attractive fins to me, and I'm going to put it into the pond. And this one that has, it just came up and splashed right there, that one I call Darth Vader, and I'm going to move it to the spawning pond and see if I can get some progeny from it going. I have pine boughs off of juniper trees in the other pond, and it allows the koi to lay eggs and then not to consume them. Well, you pretty much get to see exactly what I've got here in my pond. I've got it lined with butyl rubber pond liner that's guaranteed for something like 20 years, and as far as I can tell, even when the sun hits it, it doesn't seem to deteriorate to the point where it's ever going to leak. Roots have tried to grow through it, and so far the only time I've had a failure in the pond is when I cut a tree down and the tree limbs rammed into the bottom of the pond. When the tree fell across the pond, it was something that was just way beyond the capability of the rubber liner to withstand that kind of thing. You can see some really brilliant Jinrin shiny scales on some of these koi. This one that's just gently eating here especially has that Jinrin color that I like so much. sparkle scale. When the sun hits it like this morning, it just is beautiful. This is my oldest fish, that one that's just orange with a few black speckles on it. I call him David, named after the fellow that got me started in koi more than 10 years ago. He it must be more like 15 years ago. That's my oldest koi. I used to only have goldfish. I didn't think I liked koi. Koi are very similar to goldfish in some ways. You know, they got scales and fins, but they can interbreed, which is, well, so I've been told. I tend to not allow any goldfish to be in the pond with my breeding population of koi, and that way I can be sure that the koi stay that particular species and they don't have any mix in with the goldfish, so that they can have normal growth and fin patterns. Well, I hope you enjoyed this little video update of my large koi pond that happens to be unusually clear today. It's what day is it? April 16, 2015. This is probably just going to be a short video of my front yard koi breeding pond. These koi are not as large as the ones in the other pond, but they successfully breed very nicely in this pond. I think I produced over 150 young koi last year that had mostly, well, I'd say 85 to 90% had long fins. At this far end of the pond is the pine boughs off the juniper trees that I put into the water. As breeding season gets a little bit closer, I'll push them into the water just a little bit further. I have the opportunity to prune some junipers that provide really excellent cover for the eggs. I have a small bubbler still going. I put an old poplar log across the middle of the pond and put that bubbler in so that I could make sure that my fish in the pond had pretty good agitation when it was covered with ice. And I sort of believe in making sure that part of your pond is always ice-free, so that the poison gases from decaying vegetation and or carbon dioxide from the respiration of the koi in the pond can be released into the atmosphere. And the next day or two I'll pull that thing out. It won't be necessary. You can see some of the koi swimming around. They're about 13 inches long. They are sexually mature. They're about 4 years old now, and maybe even older than that, maybe 5 years old. They're not growing really fast. I have them quite crowded, and I try to do a few partial water changes, but I definitely don't give them as much fresh, clean water as they would probably need for optimal growth. But who needs optimal growth when you have way too many koi in one pond like I do? I think I have right at 30 of the 12 to 13 inch long ones in this pond, and the pond itself I think might be 8 or 9 feet wide and maybe 15, 16 feet long. Holds thousands of gallons of water. Once again, I just use a small 600 gallon an hour water pump to pump water through a filtration system. Over there in the corner I have it buried underneath the dirt, and then I have a way to drain the water out of the bottom of the filter. When I want to clean it, I can open up this little valve here that is right there. I just unscrew that nut and the water comes pouring out from the bottom of this 55 gallon barrel that's buried in the soil here. Quite a bit of manual labor goes into setting up a pump underground like this, but I thought it was worth it. You know, it's front yard and everything. I'm very happy with it. this concludes this short video. Oh, the net over the top of the pond is necessary because the birds of prey, like kingfishers, I've seen them sit on the edge of my roof right there and dive down into the pond and fly away with my fish, and I don't abide by that. I don't mind them getting wild fish and native fish, but my pet fish, I prefer to have them safe, and so this net totally discourages all of the herons and kingfishers and ospreys. I've even seen an osprey up on that top of that pole there once, eyeballing my fish, and I don't need an osprey eating my koi either. So, so hence the net. 365 days out of the year. I do pull it back in the wintertime when it's ice covered so the grandkids can play on the ice. But other than that, oh, and of course I pull the pine boughs out of the pond as soon as the baby koi are hatched and free swimming fast enough that they can get away from the adults and juvenile koi that are in this pond. You can't really see them today. Maybe the water will be less murky another day.